This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, this is a quick walkthrough around what you can use Selenium WebDriver to achieve. I have these few points to discuss. What can you automate with Selenium WebDriver? Basically, what is Selenium WebDriver, by the way? Selenium WebDriver as a web application test automation tool allows test analysts to execute tests against different browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer using a programming language like C Sharp, Java, JavaScript. For this quick demo, you need Visual Studio environment using C Sharp programming language. And you will also need a template like unit test, class library, console application, any template of your choice. And you will also need to have in place Selenium WebDriver installed. You can get that via NuGet package, or you can download it directly. Obviously, the last thing you need is an application under test, which has to be web-based. If you pay attention to this point, you get to know that Selenium WebDriver is a web application test tool. When you are automating, it's not going to be only web application. Sometimes it could be web services or API. It could be mobile application or desktop or Windows application. So these are different applications you can actually have to automate. I will quickly navigate now to Visual Studio. Obviously, this is like quick walkthrough, but if you like to know more about how Selenium WebDriver work, or if you want to learn more around programming language, or you want to know how to automate web services and so on, you can contact me for detail. You can actually send your request to itupskilling@gmail.com for details. Okay, so now I'm in Visual Studio now. I have just one class. The class name is Selenium, and I have Selenium WebDriver installed already. I've downloaded it via NuGet package, and I have my driver declared already coming from iWebDriver class, and also I've declared a variable, uh, string variable called base URL. I just put a random URL. That's not real. Okay, and then I also have a locator. Obviously, this locator is like one element on the page. By element, I'm referring to, for example, username field, password field, or login button. So I've just mentioned three different elements now. This can be, I can change this one to username field, or I will leave it as locator to be on the safer side. We'll just leave it as locator. Now, this this is the Selenium WebDriver I've got, and to start with, we have one or two things that we can do with Selenium WebDriver. We can use it to navigate to a web page. How? For you to use Selenium to navigate to a web page, I'm going to call a browser first by calling driver equals to new, for example, Chrome driver. This we call a new Chrome driver, and by doing driver dot navigate dot go to URL. I have URL declared already in line number 11, base URL, base URL. Okay, so that is how to use Selenium WebDriver to navigate to a web page. I will leave this one as it is. I'm not going to delete it. Subsequent one, I might choose to delete it. Like I said, I have two methods or functions. One is called setup. The other one is called Selenium can do. Okay. Now, another thing Selenium can help us with is we can actually use it to navigate to. It can be used to navigate backward. Okay. How? To use Selenium to navigate backward, just call a driver dot navigate. Okay, this is a method dot back. That is how to use Selenium to navigate backward. Okay, and apart from that, we can also use Selenium to navigate forward. So to do that, I will just change this one to forward, and I believe you all. I mean, when you have a web page, for example, let me launch. Let me quickly launch a web page. This is a web page. Let's go to google.com. So the first one I've just done now is the one I demoed in line number 19, okay, to navigate. And then if you want to navigate forward, this is forward button, this one. If you want to navigate backward, this is backward button. So that is what I'm talking about. So now to navigate forward, there is another method here. When you do dot forward, this can help you to navigate forward. That is another thing Selenium can help us to do. And then Selenium can also help us to get browser URL. For example, I'm going to use this new method Selenium can do to achieve that. If you want to get browser URL, all you have to do is, let me just type it in. It can do to get browser URL. Okay, so now to do that, if you do driver.url, obviously this cannot stand on its own because this is a string. It has to be assigned to a variable. You can say string, okay, page URL, for example. Okay, so at runtime, what this one does is it will pick whatever the URL of the page is and it will be stored here. Okay, that is what it means by it can be used to get a browser URL. Another thing it can help us to do is Selenium WebDriver can be used to click on an element. So I will just copy this bit and paste it. It can be used to click on an element. If you need to use Selenium WebDriver to click on an element, you just need to call driver.findElement by locator. If you look at, I've already declared one by in line number 12. I've declared by ID. Obviously, it's not only ID that you have that you can locate an element with. If I delete this one now, I can do by class name CSS selector equals ID link text name partial link text. So tag name, okay, I've just chosen to use by ID. Okay, so to click on an element, you need to specify the locator. and here is it. I will just put within this open and close curly bracket locator, and then I will do dot click. Okay, that is how to use Selenium WebDriver to click on an element. Another thing it can help us with is to write to a text field. I'm going to change this one to it can be used to write to a field. If you want to use Selenium WebDriver to write to a field, I will recommend it that try to clear that field first before you write into it. That means you will need to start with, you need to declare a variable. That variable will be called iWebElement. Okay, you can give it a name. I'm going to call it field to write to, or we can just call it username field. For example, we are assuming that it is the username field that we would like to write to. So we've just inspected an element for that field. Okay, next thing you have to do is username field dot clear. We would like to clear the field because in some cases you might have some elements, okay, some data on the field that you would like to write to. So the best option is actually to clear it. After clearing it, you can then write to it. Okay, now that we have cleared it, I can then do username dot send keys. Send keys is a method which takes in one parameter, whatever it is that you would like to write into that field. For example, we can write something like upscaling into the field. Okay, so what Selenium will do at runtime is it will get line number 35 we inspect the username field, while line number 36 will clear off the data in that field, and line number 37 will write upscaling into it. Another thing Selenium can help us with is actually to check whether, for example, you can use it to check if a particular element is displayed or not. For example, in line number 35, we have inspected an element. Okay, we can then check if the element is displayed. If it is, probably we want to do something to it. So to do that, just call that element you have declared username field. If you do dot displayed, this one give you back true or false. Obviously, you cannot stand on its own. You have to assign it to a variable boolean. Okay, so and let's give it a variable name. I can call it is displayed. Okay, so this one, what it does is it will give us back true or false, depends on the status of an element. Okay, so now apart from that, you can also check whether an element is enabled or not by saying, if I change this one to is enabled, I can then do dot enabled. This one also gives us back true or false. To avoid confusion, I'm going to delete this one so we can have one or two things at a time. It can be used to verify that an element is enabled, for example. So another thing Selenium can help us with is we can use it to select multiple elements. So in some cases, when you are automating, you might have a good reason to select more than one element, especially if they have similar locator. Okay, so to achieve that, you need, let me just write this one. Can be used to select multiple elements. Okay. Now, To achieve that, you need to declare a list of elements, list of iWeb elements, okay? List of iWeb elements. You can then give it a name like multiple elements, for example, and then you can do driver dot find elements, plural, okay? And element, we assume that the locator is the right locator, okay? And then, so this one, now, this one, we need to change it to high list, or let me say, this one says, okay, we need to reference system collection dot generic, because this list by default, you may not have it, okay? So there is this yellow bulb here, click on the drop down arrow and select this one. And now, at runtime, this will driver.find element by, let's change this one to list, okay? Yeah. Now that we have stored multiple elements here, it depends on what you need it for. For example, if within your test, you want to verify that though you have more than one element stored here, but you will like to click on an element which satisfy one condition. For example, you can then implement for each statement. When you do for each, okay, this is the collection. Replace collection with multiple elements and change this item to elements, okay? And then you can then do, for example, you can implement another condition like if element is displayed, that is at runtime, you would like to do what? You would like to click on that element dot click. So this is an example of what you can do when you have multiple elements. Obviously, your test is going to determine what it is you will be doing with, with that element. I'm just giving you an example. Okay, that's another thing. Another thing I'm going to explain to you that you can do with Selenium WebDriver is it can be used to get text out of an element. It can be used to get. Remember, many things Selenium WebDriver can do. I'm just going through key important ones. Okay, it can be used to get text out of an element. For example, we have this element now. Let's assume it's not a username field. We can assume it is a username, or we can call it header text. Okay. Now that we have this, we can do dot text. Obviously, when you do dot text, you have to change iWeb element to string, because dot text will always give you back string. Okay, this is it. So this one now, what we have used it for is actually, we have given an instruction to Selenium that go and find this element at runtime, whatever the text is written in it, like for example, if header element has, let's say, home page, written on it. This one, we get the text home page and store it here. Obviously, it's up to you. You can use it for anything. For example, you can implement assert. Maybe you need it for assertion. Okay, you can say assert dot is true. For example, assert by default is not in this class. We have to reference using Microsoft Visual Studio test to that. Okay, when you do that, you can then make use of, for example, assert dot is true. You can have header text. That is if you want to check if header text is equal to, for example, home page. If this is the text you are expecting, remember this is an expected text and this is the actual. You can only get a value for this at runtime. That's another thing you can, use Selenium to do. You can also use it to select from drop-down menu. If you are using Selenium to select from drop-down menu, so let's quickly treat that. It can be used to select from drop-down menu. And then, so this one now, obviously this is going to, let me just rewrite everything here, because if before you select from a drop-down menu, you need to inspect the drop-down menu element itself. To do that, obviously when you inspect it, we are not going to do anything with it. We would just like to store it to another element. I'll just call iWeb element. Okay. Then let me call this one element is equal to driver dot find element. We have the locator declared already. Just call locator and leave it as it is. Okay. And then after that, we have a class. That class is called select element, which by default is not going to be in this class. We have to reference it. Okay. We can then say select. We can give it a variable name, and then we can do new select element. And then this one takes in elements that we would like to select. Now, to clear off this one, we need to reference, hover on it, there is one drop down arrow. If you click on it, you need to reference OpenQA selenium.support.ui. Okay, now I've done that. Then, when you now when you call the select variable you have declared in line number 33, you have different ways to select. You can select by text. Let's say in the drop-down menu, after you open it, because this is what Selenium will do. If you have three options, and first option, let's say it says economy, second option says business class, third one says premium economy. If you are selecting the third one, which says premium economy, and you would like to select it by text, just do select by text, then put the word there, the text, premium economy. Obviously, when you are automating, we have to tidy it up. We are not going to type it like this directly, because this premium economy might be coming from SpecFlow, for example. So we have to put it in a parameter way. So this function must take in a parameter which we are going to input into this method. Okay. Sometimes you might not be able to select by text. Okay. You might have to select by value. If select by text is not working due to how it has been implemented by developers, okay, you can always try dot select by value. This will work. Sometimes if both select by text and select by value are not working, you might have to do select by index. Okay, select by index. Obviously, if you are selecting the third element, for index, you need to give 2, because when you give 0, 0 is going to select the first element, while 2 select 1 select the second one. If you give 2, it's going to select the third element in the drop down. And you can do, sometimes in some cases you might have to deselect rather than select. Okay, you can also do deselect. Obviously, deselect is an opposite to select. You can deselect by text, you can deselect by value, by index. Okay. Now, if you want to deselect by text, just do premium economy. Okay. So now I've just discussed probably a few of many things you can do with Selenium WebDriver. If you want to learn more about it, don't forget to contact me. I've just put my information here and we can take it up from there. Thank you.